everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so grateful that you are here. I am excited about today's video because today's video was quite challenging for me to do, but I finally got my top 5 books of 2025. So 2025 was a very special year for me. It was a good reading year for me. For one, it was the first year that I shared my reading life here on YouTube. So I'm officially a year old, I think starting in January, or it could be December. I need to figure out my exact birth date here on the channel. But it's also, I think, one of the strongest reading years that I've had in a really long time. I read so many stories this year. Yes, I have done it. And I'm so excited for 2026 because I'm like trying to have an even better year. So I am how would I describe myself as a reader? How would you describe yourself as a reader? Put how you are as a reader. What words describe you? Put that in the chat section below. I think for me, I would describe myself as I'm a deep reader. I am very attentive. I am relational. I really kind of like to get inside of the books. And what I'm enjoying most that was really surprising to me last year is that I like to commune with the story and with the characters. So I think those words describe me. And I'm also varied. I like a wide variety of books. So I read pretty much anything. So yeah, so I think those are words that describe me and my reading. And yay, again, my top 5. But I want to say a couple things before I get into it. These are not just like my favorite books. This is not my favorite book list from 2025. These 5 books are like the books that truly moved me, that shaped my thinking, and have stayed with me long after I have closed them. So that's kind of how I have come up with this list of 5 books. Before we begin, I want to just take a moment to say if you could please subscribe to this channel. If you have not done so already, that would be great. And also share it with a fellow reader. It helps this little book community grow, and it helps the algorithm to share it with people who are really interested in books. So, all right, I think I'm ready. We are going to begin. I have my notes in my reading journal. This is my 2026 reading journal, you guys, this year. Isn't it cute? It's so cute. So I will be looking down at my notes. That's what I'm doing, just so that we can stay on track and honest. Okay, so number 5. Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. So Gail is a Scottish author. This is her debut novel, and it became an international bestseller, which makes total sense for me. I love this book's tenderness and emotional honesty. This is a work of contemporary fiction. That's the genre that it falls in. And the story is about Eleanor, who is a very different kind of character. She is quirky, awkward, rigid. She lives a very controlled and carefully constructed life that is solitary. And she has an unexpected friendship that happens, and this unexpected friendship cracks her open and ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. And so what I really, really loved about this book is that it surprised me. This book surprised me, and I love a book that does that, you guys. As I said, this character is awkward and isolated and deeply misunderstood, both by the people around her, but also by herself. And underneath it, beneath all of that, is a woman who is surviving not only profound loneliness, but also unprocessed trauma. And I would say that, oh gosh, there's so much to say about this book. What moves me most, outside of it being a work that definitely surprised me in the sense that I didn't see it coming, was this book's insistence that healing is possible even later on in life, and even slowly, and even awkwardly. Not only is it possible when it comes to healing, especially deep wounds that are trauma filled, I think that it is going to be awkward, slow, and probably later on in life. And so it reminded me also that kindness and friendship, especially the quiet, persistent kind, is life saving. So this book encouraged me to be a better friend and to show up, and to keep showing up and to keep showing up. So a question that it left me wrestling with, because I said I'm sharing books that have me wrestling with stuff well after I closed it, is how often do we misread people because we don't know the full weight of what they are carrying and we don't have a full understanding of their story. And so it just had me kind of think through people that have come into my orbit in my life, and how who I embraced and who I dismissed. And I'm just sitting with that, y'all. I'm just sitting with it. And this book helped me do so. I was able to have a fantastic, I think one of my favorite conversations, because it was so enriching. It was filled with such knowledge, with my cousin, who is also Dr. Michelle Bellamani da Silva, who is also a psychologist, and her insight into this world and into Eleanor was so like I would not have put certain things together. I would not have understood it maybe in the way in which I was able to understand it. And so if you are interested in this, if you have read this work, please check out that conversation. That will be in the show notes below. Okay, I'm liking this. All right, next book. Number four. Number four is Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower. So this is the first time that I've read a work by Octavia Butler. It will not be my last. Matter of fact, I'm working on a second one to this Parable of the Talents as I record this. This book came to me by way of my friend Stephanie, and we decided to read this together. So Octavia Butler is, gosh, she's a visionary Black science fiction writer, whose work explores power and survival and change, faith, and future. And she does so with astonishing foresight and clarity that's astonishing and also unsettling. This particular work is the first of a series, and it falls under, I would say, speculative fiction as well as dystopian fiction, just to help you orient yourself with it. It is set in a near future America that's unraveling due to climate change and social unrest, and instability. The novel follows a young woman, Lauren, who is creating a belief system that is centered on, what it means to survive, and the it just and it yes, survive, what it means to survive. And I think that's where it's sitting right here. I don't even know if it's getting into thriving as yet as surviving. And this read was both, it had my complete attention because it was terrifying and necessary at the same time. That's what it felt like reading it. It was terrifying, but I also felt like it was so necessary for me to read, especially in the time that we are living in 2020, top five, 2026, just in this current time, you guys. I think what stayed with me most is the idea that adaptability is not weakness, and but it's necessary. It's actually wisdom. Like change is wisdom. Change is wisdom, and not to get tied down and to be so nostalgic and of the past, and put it up on a pedestal because it doesn't allow you for change when you need to change. So the question that this book has me thinking about still, that I'm still thinking about, and it's one that really prompted my thinking in a more serious way, is, am I preparing only to survive the future? Like, is that what I'm trying to do? Am I in that preparation space, or am I willing to help shape it? And I think this question has me about, like, am I just thinking small of myself and my family and my changes, or am I willing to actually extend myself further? Am I pushing out forward? Am I collecting? You'll understand if you read it. Or am I retreating? I think that this book is challenging me to have honest conversations with myself about it. So I am also going to link the conversation that I had with my dear friend Stephanie about this book. If you want to read, if you want to take a listen to that, it will be in the show notes below. All right. So next on my list is none other than Toni Morrison's Jazz. So Toni Morrison's Jazz. This book was given to me to read by my friend Sean. He said he wanted to read a book with me, and I was like, I'm all for it. You pick it. And he picked Toni Morrison, and I was like, oh, because Had not finished a Toni Morrison book. I think I started Beloved years ago, and I just didn't. I set it down and I was like, I love Toni Morrison. I respect her work and I respect her in the space, but I wasn't feeling it. I don't know why. I don't know why, but I picked this up again and I fell in love. And I'm so happy that I started with Jazz, which is actually the second book in the Beloved trilogy. Beloved is the first, then Jazz, and then Paradise. So I am talking about Jazz because it made my number 3 on my top 5 list. So, as you guys know, Toni Morrison is a giant. She's a giant, and I say the word is. She has passed, but her legacy and impact still lives on in such significant ways. She is one whose work is centered around Black life with lyricism and complexity and such emotional layers that it is just hard to capture all that she is and all that her work does. And she also is a waymaker in her work, which I'm going to be doing a video more about Toni Morrison, not the writer, but Toni Morrison, the editor, and the ways in which she championed marginalized voices in the publishing space. So that is something that I am excited to share with you. I am currently working on it and just really want to do a thorough job. But this particular work is the genre that it finds itself is literary and historical fiction. It's set in Harlem in 1920s, and it is a novel that traces what I would call, y'all, a love triangle. It is a love triangle that is shaped by lots of things. It's shaped by migration. And so we do get a sense of the not just the migration story, but the consequences around migration. It's also a love triangle that's shaped by memory and longing. And it's told through a narrator that is unnamed, who shifts and evolves. And I think it's one of the things that I really enjoyed most about this novel was the narrator. Jazz reads like its title. It is jazz. It is written as jazz. It is amazing. And I really just enjoyed this aspect because jazz is actually my favorite genre of music. It sways, it repeats, it feels like it's improvisational. It has a different kind of cadence and it breaks all the rules because that's what jazz does. It breaks all the rules. And I really, really was in awe of how she was able to do that. And because of that, it has surprises. And I talked about how I like surprises. So, yes, this one has surprises. I think that this book shaped me most by reminding me that love is messy. It is messy, that memory is unreliable, and that truth is oftentimes a very layered thing. It's not just one thing, that it's a very layered thing. The question that Jazz has me still wrestling with that's lingered is whose version of the story do I trust? And how does that choice shape what I believe is true? If you read the story, you'll know what I'm talking about. That question is really tied to the narrator of the story. And it's also something that I continued in my conversation with A Letter to Literature, which is a series of writing that I do when I need to continue a conversation with a literary character. So I'm going to leave my letter to the narrator in the show notes below if you want to check that out. So this is book number 3. All right, so we're getting to my top 2. I'm very excited to share with you my top 2. And before I do, I want to just say this list was hard, you guys. It was really, really hard. And it was just hard. I went back and forth. Try and do this on your own. Like, let me know what your top 5 would be or what your top 5 reads are for 2025. I would love to know that. Leave that in the comments below. So number 2, Changang All Stars by Nana Kwame Adiji Brinya. And this book was, I want to say it was the second book, or it could have been the first book that I read last year. Blew me away. I have said so many things about this book, you guys. So many things about this book. If you are familiar with my channel, then you have heard about this book. This is debut novel. This writer is known for blending social critique and gripping storytelling in one. Powerful, powerful, powerful storyteller here. The genre that it sits in is speculative fiction along with social commentary. I just want to give another shout out to Chloe and my Black to the Future book club at Kramer's because this is how I never, ever, ever would have picked this book. So that just goes to show you guys, be risky, take risk in your reading. And so I am so thankful. since reading this book, I have bought copies of this book. I have gifted copies of this book. I made my husband read it and we had a conversation about it. You can watch that. I will link it in the show notes below. It is a very kind of chilling, uncomfortable, unsettling near future setting. And it is focused on the ways in which incarcerated people are dealt with. Specifically, there is a program that allows incarcerated people to fight death like style, gladiator style to the death for their freedom. And there's different levels that they ascend to in order to reach freed status. And of course, because this is capitalism, it's a profit-driven criminal, I think, very criminal system. This book just completely wrecked me. It made me feel so sad that I have such lack of knowledge of the prison system and the private prison system that is happening in our world. I love the fact that this book is intent on educating and convicting, I think, you as a reader. He employs footnotes both to point out things that are actually true and also to provide more information from the fictional stuff, such as characters and things of that nature. I love the way that he holds before us human beings. We get to interact with human beings as the reader, but we also get to see how entertainment um, does something to us. Entertainment turns off or dampens or lessens our ability to see humans and to care for people in the way in which we should. And so this is such a way. You guys, such a great storyteller. So many things employed in here. I definitely will be reading this one again. It is a book that you can't look away from it, even when you want to. I've not forgotten this story at all. It has definitely stayed with me. And yeah, I'm so happy it came into my life. I think the question that it has me grappling with is, at what point does my silence or my consumption make me complicit? Really, really good. Especially the part about my consumption. When does my consumption of a thing make me complicit? So check this book out if you have not read it. Again, I will leave both my review of this book and my conversation with my husband, Kyrie, in the show notes below so you can check those videos out. All right, so that leads me to my number one book. And this was really hard because, you guys, it was razor thin between Chain Gang All Stars and the next book that I'm about to share with you. And that is my number one is A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles. This book also was one that was suggested to me by a friend, Lucila, and I've never heard of the book or of the author. And so I was excited to give it a read. And gosh, there's so much I can say about this book. Fun thing, I actually did share my conversation with Lucila about it with the author, and he responded, and that was a lot of fun. So thank you, Amor, for responding. So Amor Towles is really known for elegant storytelling. It's just beautiful, beautiful, elegant storytelling. It's rich characters that explore time, and human dignity. I think that's where I'm landing. Time and human dignity. This is a historical fiction, and our main character, the one and only Count Rostov, finds himself sentenced to lifelong house arrest inside a luxurious hotel in Russia. And he lives through a Russia that's trying to build itself, and it's going through several different changes. It takes place over many decades. And the Count himself is trying to build a rich life, a rich inner life, and an inner life, physically, an inner life inside this hotel, as he cannot step outside of it, and as history and change is happening all around him. So this book was balm to me, and I'm like, why is this book number one? I think that it's number one because it made me feel closer to my dad. My dad is a Count Rostov type of human being. He is charismatic and caring, larger than life. I lost him at 25. And so I just felt really, really close to him in different ways when reading this book. And so I think that really is a defining factor for me, why it was my number one read of the year. I love that this novel shows you what it looks like to live a full life that's not defined by movement, but by presence and paying attention and showing up for people. Count Rostov taught me grace, discipline, excellence, and kindness are daily choices that we can make in very small moments that have profound impacts, not only on people, but on you, the individual. And I think the question that is lingering with me the most is, if my circumstances change, will I still choose to live well? Or better yet, I would say, if I refine that question, when my or as my circumstances change, am I choosing to still live a well life? And that is the invitation that we all get from this book. It is the example that is displayed for us in ways that are not convenient, that are not comfortable, that are not pretty at times, but always, always full of hope and grand thinking and grand building. I love the way in which this confined space wasn't able to confine him. And so this is my number one read of 2025. I really hope that you will yeah, get this book if you have not. I'm going to leave I know I did a conversation. I will leave that in the show notes below as well. So these five books, they didn't just entertain me, you guys. They asked me to wrestle. They slowed me down. They completely engaged me. And they demanded something different for me. And they're really actually helping to form who I am becoming in this world that I am living in the space that I get to occupy. So if you have read any of these books, can you please let me know in the comments below what you thought about it? And if you have not read any of these books and you're interested, then you can get you a copy using my affiliate link with bookshop.org. If you purchase through that link, you help independent bookstores and you also help my channel grow as well. But you can find these books anywhere that you enjoy getting your books. You can find them at libraries and also at indie bookstores, just anywhere that you like to get books. I want to thank you so much for spending time with me today and listening to my top five. Again, I want to know your top five. I want to know like the books that really stayed with you, the characters that stayed with you, and anything else that you want to share with me. Please let me know. And as always, please remember that reading is medicine, writing is witness, and books help us stay human. Bye, guys.